In this video, we'll be going over how to get the exponential function given 2 points. First off, you'll start off with the base equation for an exponential function, which is f of x equals a parentheses b to the power of x. So we know that that's our x value, right? And we know that this is our y value. Given that, we need 2 coordinate points. In this scenario, we have the coordinate points 3, 1 and the coordinate point 5, 4. Using these, we're going to make the equation and then get it down to a simplified equation. So we have f of x, which is just going to stay the same, equals our a, b, x, right? So given this, we're going to label our x and y values for both. So we have x is 3 in this first coordinate and y is 1. The second coordinate, we have x is 5 and y as our 4. And we have y as our 4. Using this, we're going to sub into this equation. So we have f of x, which we stated right here was our y. So we have 1 equals, we don't know a, we don't know b, but what we do know from our coordinate is our x. We're going to start with this first coordinate point. We're going to label that 1 and label that 2. A parentheses b to the power of our x value, and our x value was 3 as we stated right here. Using that, we have this first equation. Next, we have to do it for our second coordinate point. So now we have a y value of 4, which we can see we labeled right here. So we have a y value of 4, so we have 4 equals a parentheses b, but then we have to change our x to 5 as we stated right here. So we have a times b to the power of 5. That's our second equation. Now we can see that number 2 is greater than number 1 because it's equal to 4 and number 1 is just equal to 1. So I like to put the greater number on top. We're basically doing division. So we have a parentheses b to the power of 5 equals 4. So we're just putting equation 2 on top because it's greater in this scenario. And then on the bottom, we have a parentheses b to the power of 3 equals 1. So now we can see that both a's aren't raised to any exponents, so they can just eliminate each other. Next, we can see that b in our numerator is to the 5th power and b in our denominator is to the 3rd power. And basically, when you are doing fractions and you have exponents, you're basically subtracting the exponent in the numerator by the exponent in the denominator. So you have 5 minus 3, which is just 2. So you know your new exponent is going to be 2, and your variable b is just going to stay the same. So now you have b to the 2nd, and now you have 4 divided by 1, and 4 divided by 1 is just going to be 4. So we have b squared equals 4. And now to undo the square root on the left side, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So the square root of b squared equals the square root of 4. And the square root of b squared is just b. And the square root of 4 is just 2. So you know b equals 2. And again, we can look back at these two equations. And now that we know b, we sub in our b value and we try to solve for a. I'm going to use equation 1. And equation 1 was just 1 equals a parentheses b to the power of 3. So now we know that b is 2. We're going to substitute b in. So we have 1 equals a parentheses 2 to the power of 3. 2 to the power of 3 is just 2 times 2 times 2, which is just 8. And we have a times 8 equals 1. If we divide both sides by a, we'll isolate a, which is what we want. We're solving for a. So we have 1 divided by 8 equals a times 8 divided by 8. 8 cancel out. So we have 1 over 8 equals a. We know that a equals 1 over 8. If you remember at the beginning of the lesson that we saw that the base equation for our formula is just going to be f of x equals a parentheses b to the power of x. Now we want to graph it. So we have f of x equals a, which we just solved for, which is just 1 over 8, parentheses our b, which we said is 2, 1 over 8, parentheses 2 to the power of x. That is our equation for the coordinate points 3, 1 and 5, 4. Using this, we can just graph it, and we already have two of our points, 3, 1 and 5, 4, and this a term is our y-intercept. So the graph would look something like this. You go here, you have 1, 2, 3, and you're at 1, just call that 1, and when you're at 5, you're at 4, and you have an intercept of 0.125, which is just 1 over 8, which is going to be like that. Your graph should look something like that. And obviously you should make it a little better and more precise, label your coordinates, and that's basically how you find the exponential function when given 2 points. I hope this video helped, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.